Hello everyone and welcome to this week's arranging video where I'm going to talk you through how to arrange the flowers in this week's bunch, which is called the Circle of Life, for fairly obvious reasons because I think these look a little bit like Simba. And then I'm going to talk you through what to do with last week's arrangements, where I'm going to trim them down into 3 beautiful burly jugs. You may have got to this arranging video through the QR code on our arranging guide. It's very exciting, this is the first time we're doing this, so welcome. But let's just do a quick whip through the flowers that are in this week's arrangement. So we've got these glorious sunflowers, some rather fabulous fuego blooms, or one of these 2 types of Safina bloom, a Safina dark or a Safina light. Lovely white alstroemeria, these incredible eramuris, some very wild foliage called soft ruscus, which is very beautiful and looks like that. So we've now got your flowers, and they're very important to look after them. So I've got my trusty floral scissors, and you can buy a pair of these on our online shop. So I'm going to use my flower food first, pour it in. And your vase wants to be filled about 1/3 full with water. Room temperature water is very, very important. And then we want to trim about 1 inch off the end of all of our stems. A nice diagonal inch, like so, because that allows lots of water into the stem and stops them sitting flat on the bottom. And then you just want to make sure to remove any leaves that might sit below the waterline. So we should have done most of that for you, but there may be a few stragglers, so just whip those off. Super! Now we're going to arrange this lovely bunch. So we want to start with our 3 sunflowers that we're going to arrange evenly around the edge, like so. And we want our sort of shorter focal flowers first around the edge, building into the taller ones in the middle. Then we're going to take our fuego blooms and we're going to fill the gaps left by the sunflowers. And they'll be at about the same height. And I love the way the colours work together. So there we go, a nice even hexagon around the edge. Then we're going to face our alstroemeria opposite each other. And what we're trying to do is create a lovely structural stem grid in the middle so that the other stems can be supported in the middle. So then in goes our taller eramuris in an even triangle a bit more centrally, which you can now stand very upright because you have your stem grid. So you want to just drop these into the middle, and doesn't that look splendid? And then we're going to finish with the soft ruscus, filling the gaps left by your eramuris, sort of stems in the middle, falling out in whichever direction. So tuck that in the middle. And there we have a pretty magnificent arrangement, which in a few days will start to look, as it all opens up, a little more like this. And this is using the Safina blooms. So there we go, you can see the eramuris just starting to pop open and the alstroemeria. Really, really pretty. So there we have the Circle of Life. And now, what to do with last week's arrangement, which I have here. So, this was last week's arrangement, but it had some peonies in it as well. And if you have peonies, you may have had one of these 3 types. There may be a few more varieties. But peonies tend to last about 5 days, so they actually may not have even made it this far. But, you know, what I tend to do with peonies is take them out of the arrangement and pop them down, trim them down into something else. So I'm going to put my peonies into this slightly taller burly jug. And again, you can get these burly jugs on our shop. So I'm just going to trim half off the peony, and that's just going to sit very nicely in there. And I'm going to do the same with this one. Might nip off that little bit of lower leaf. I'm going to pop that in there. And I'm going to do that with this one. The Sarah Bernhardt peony it's called. And that's going to go in there. And you'll have 3 of the same, but they can all sit in a jug like that and just mellow nicely together. So that's what I do with my peonies, very beautiful. We'll put that to one side. And then with the rest of the bunch, which is here, this is about a week on now. I've got my other 2 little burly jugs, which are going to look really nice, you know, on a side table in the kitchen or sitting room or bedroom or whatever. And I'm going to start by taking all of the flowers out of the arrangement and just lay them down here like so. And then you want to separate them out a little bit. I have some nice arbutus foliage, it's called, which is still looking great. Some alstroemeria, which is now open nicely. Some stocks, which are still looking just about okay, slightly yellowy leaves, but they're still looking all right, they're usable. And some lisianthus, which is very delicate, but looking good as well. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to trim down my stocks into this one, and a good measuring guide is you kind of want them to be a little less than half the height of your vase. So I'm going to nip off about that much and just pop those in here. Very, very pretty. And I think I'll use a few trimmings of the arbutus foliage as well. So I'll just take that off and maybe that. And I can just pop those in here. And you want to take off a few of the lower leaves just so you've got bare stems go in. That's looking rather nice. And I'm also going to use a tiny bit of lisianthus. And I'm just going to snip off a few of the individual little bits like that, and they can be popped in here as well. There we go, that's looking very, very pretty. And then in the shorter little burly jug we've got here, I'm going to put in some of my alstroemeria. I might even take a bit more off that. It's going to sit in there. Pretty, again with a bit more arbutus. A few fronds of that. Just tuck it in. Edge, and maybe one more bit of lisianthus as well. In fact, I might as well use a little bit more than one bit. I've got some, so let's just pop it in. So either there, maybe a bit more. This one, anything else I could put in? Maybe my other alstroemeria, that's going to go in there as well. Idea, Freddie. Yup. Now, pop that in there. Oh, very, very beautiful. So we now have a short little jug of lisianthus, alstroemeria, and arbutus. We then have a medium jug of stocks, lisianthus, and arbutus. And we have a taller jug of mellowing peonies. So there we have it, what to do with this week's arrangement, what to do with last week's arrangement. Give it a go, and I hope you have fun. There we go, Wayne.